Let's get into this Jack Dorsey topic. I think we have a picture right here. This is Jack Dorsey as he sees someone send him 1 Bitcoin hoping to get 2 back. He's like, what are you doing, man? But yeah, so he is stepping down as CEO. They're naming Parag, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Agrawal as the CEO. He is the former CTO. He's been there over 10 years. He worked on their initiative where they're trying to get into the, their Web3 and the decentralization efforts. It's Blue Sky, I think. Yeah, so he's working on Blue Sky. He's CTO for 10 years. So this is probably one that aligns with Jack Dorsey. Again, this is speculative, but he probably aligns with Jack Dorsey when it comes to Bitcoin, Web3, decentralized model versus, Web2 and the centralized models that we see now. So he's stepping down. This is a huge change. Jack Dorsey, he's done a lot for Bitcoin. He's added a lot of adoption with the Square, with the Bitcoin tipping feature on Twitter. He's definitely doing a lot of things. Now, I'm going to just ask you, Tom, do you think Twitter is going to be a crypto ally continuing into the future? Or do you think this is mostly just Jack Dorsey behind the scenes and then, the board is just going to step in and say, all right, enough of this Bitcoin nonsense? What do you think is like the next 12, 24 months hold?
Yeah, that's the first time I heard this news, the last 24 hours, that it scared me a little bit. I was a little spooked, man. Dorsey's been one of the biggest advocates with the most reach and really passionate, seems, about decentralization. And so that scared me at first. I did a little research into, as you said, I believe Mr. Agrawal, sorry, I probably butchered it. He seems in favor of decentralization, so I am feeling that they're likely to continue carrying that torch forward. But without Dorsey, it's going to be hindered a little bit. I don't love this news, but what I'm really hoping here, and I think is a logical move for Dorsey, is to focus on Square and likely to focus maybe even just on Bitcoin and integration, with traditional networks more. I really get the vibe that that's what he's going for here. I don't think this is a peace Twitter thing. I think it's I want to narrow down, I want to buckle down, and I want to focus on this.
All right, so you think he might use his sway as a shareholder to maybe continue them going in the, well, we all agree is probably the right direction. So all right, good to hear. Pretty bullish. I like it. So Gareth, this is purely speculation, but you're from the traditional stock era, and not era, but with these companies, we've seen these activist investors. They'll step in, they'll buy a bunch of shares, Bill Ackman or something. And, we saw Jack Dorsey, he was almost fired not that long ago. I think it was, about a couple years ago. So do you see this as something that was voluntary, or is there some maybe behind the scenes maneuvering going on where, he's maybe stopping a public spat and just stepping down now peacefully versus trying to drag some out in a public fight 2 months from now? What do you think's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, just being in the stock world, there's been a lot of pressure on him for years, actually, to kind of pick one company, Square or Twitter,
Yep.
Because again, as a CEO running 2 companies, I mean, his time is split, and the feeling from investors is you can never devote 100% then to either company, so each company suffers. So my guess is, though, I mean, there might be a little investor pressure, but, if I'm Jack Dorsey, I mean, how many times have we seen him dragged in front of Congress to testify and get yelled at? I mean, if I was him, I'd be like, I'm done, just focus on Square, go into the more crypto side of things, which is where obviously he wants to go. He doesn't want to have to get dragged in front of these panels all the time. So that's where I'm thinking. I mean, I think his beard tells it all. He wants to be a mountain man. He wants to have a cabin somewhere. He doesn't want to be in the public eye as much. And I think that's kind of where it's headed.
Yeah, I agree. Chat's always crazy with their the cool uncle meme. Gareth is the cool uncle that taught you the practical use of a pocket protector. That's in the Twitch chat. Love to see it. All right, you guys are too much. Now, Crypto Face, you famously called any coin not Bitcoin a poop coin. I've heard you kind of come around to Ethereum a little bit. Now, should Bitcoin, it's being adopted pretty heavily in the Twitter ecosystem. Should Twitter continue trying to adopt Bitcoin tech, or do you think they should just jump to a new protocol, something shinier? Or you just, if it's not Bitcoin, it's garbage. So do you agree with that they should just stick with Bitcoin? Or, I mean, how do you feel about all that?
Well, just because something's a poo coin doesn't mean that it can't be a good poo coin. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean I'm not like some Bitcoin maximalist or something. You know what I mean? Twitter is kind of it's a real beast, and Jack Dorsey, was the birther to that beast, and so like all the toxicity and kind of the I think on Twitter, I was like a bunch of slimy eel in a white bucket. And, the man's been up there. That's a stressful position for a long time. As far as cryptocurrency goes, I'd imagine they'll probably end up trying to come up with their own coin of some sorts if they haven't already. And the crypto part, if they keep on going, his guy is going to be probably pro crypto. And his tech guy has been behind some pretty masterful algorithms and tracking. So I imagine it's going to keep going down that path. And I think he's not as Jack was did really do well at kind of listening to different opinions. And I wonder if he sees him as being able to do that as well, kind of like taking over. So, but yeah, it's tough running two companies. I don't really know too much about what Twitter's really doing with crypto. But the more they do, sure, the more people that get in, the better. So just hopefully, I was just thinking there's been like tracking with thoughts. I've thought about a shovel, and then a shovel comes up in my feed Twitter advertisement. So stuff gets kind of scary, with all these technology. So hopefully, things go well.
All right. Well, that's good to learn. You could think something's a shiz coin, we'll call it, but it doesn't mean that it is shiz. Maybe it is the shiz. So, all right. It was good to learn. We're learning a little crypto face lexicon here. All right. Now, Jason, Gareth kind of alluded, he just wants to grow his beard out, change his nose ring, and maybe he wants to just live the rest of his days out on the farm, milking the cows and, plowing the fields and, plucking rhubarbs out of the ground. I don't know what you do on your farm personally. And chat saying you're in a Gold's Gym bathroom. I don't think that's accurate. But, they're maybe they are doing that. Who knows what they're doing. But do you think, is he going to retire in the sunset, riding a horse like he's Clint Eastwood? Or do you think Jack is just still going to continue working on Bitcoin tech, maybe behind the scenes, or, maybe going back to his original passion like coding or something?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, this is an LA Fitness gym bathroom, not a Gold's Gym.
Okay.
And
see, chat, I told you it wasn't Gold's.
Yeah, not gold. Sorry, too expensive for me. But the dude, Jack Dorsey, I've always liked him, right? As far as social media CEOs go, he's been the most human, right? Honestly.
Yeah.
And the dude has aged 70 years in the past 5 years, right? I mean, look at the beard, man. I mean, if I could grow a beard like that, I don't know if I'll be able to do it until, I'm 75, 80, and I'm only 60 now. So I personally think if I was him, that's a very high stress situation. I would kind of want to get the heck out of there and just, I would still be heavily involved in cryptocurrency, but I would just not want to do it under such stressful situations.
He looks stressed
right now.
He looks stressed right there. So I tend to agree with your assessment there. Yeah, it's like the president, right? And I think, as Gareth said, he was the CEO of two companies. That is going to split your time a little bit. So, maybe it's a well-deserved rest, maybe.